You like my new glasses? I finally got glasses.
Oh, I love it. Aaron's just talking about his
Finally.
new glasses. How are you, Aaron?
Oh, we're live already?
We are live.
Hey there, buddy. How you doing?
Great, mate. Now, hang on, just that. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, really good, actually, apart from I'm still in lockdown, but, you know.
Oh my gosh, really?
That's the Aussie way. You know, I'm going to wear a prison uniform
I sent you
shortly.
a link.
Yeah, I know you
I
did.
sent
And
you a link.
I should wear it.
Oh my gosh, I sent him a link with all these different variations of prison outfits. I said, choose whichever one you want because you're going to probably need a few of them.
Do you know the funny thing is, we've now just become the world's most locked down city.
Wow.
Do you believe that?
Is that something to be proud of, or?
No. It's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I better pause that. That's
Oh.
too funny. I
And
don't
now-
see our live thing on.
Show us your T-shirt, Aaron. It
There we
looks
are.
really cool.
I forgot about the chat thing. See, this is our first time back in a while, guys. So I got to figure out how to. Hey, Joe, how are you? Oreo's here. I got to figure out how to get this chat. Oh no, that ain't it.
So we've got, like I said, this is the first time back for
chat.
probably
There
a
it
year.
is.
So we are going to have
still hear
some
me, David?
issues today. Yeah, now,
Uh-oh.
Aaron, once you get that organised, show us your T-shirt. I like
Oh,
the
I
look
don't
of
hear
it.
nothing now.
Oh, is it gone?
Oh, there. No, I muted the audio. Oh, gee.
Did you get the comment up? The chat up?
Yes, I got it up right
All right,
here.
beautiful. Now, I want you to show us your T-shirt.
Oh yeah, look. I got this.
Nikon.
I'm gonna. Yeah, there's Oh, I don't know if you guys. I don't remember the street, but in New York City, in Manhattan, there's this famous building called the Flatiron Building, and there's a park really close to that. And this one photographer sells these, and they're really good, high quality, and he has different cameras. So I just chose a Nikon since I've used Nikon for years. And it's only the old film cameras, so they don't have any Sonys or anything like that. So next time I go, I'm going to probably buy. I think he has about 5 or 6. I'll probably buy all the different types of cameras that he's got. So yeah, I like it.
What's that camera? Is that an FX6?
I don't remember which one I got, to tell you the truth.
Does it say it on the side there? Does it?
It says right there if anybody's got good eyes.
Yeah, I can't see from there. Oh, hang on. I'll go larger. Let me just try here.
Can you see
FX.
it? I think I might be
It's FX
out
something.
of focus. Yeah, 24 something.
Lovely.
I don't remember. My first film camera was actually a Minolta, and I didn't get Nikons until the digital era. So I don't, I've never had this camera, but it looks cool. I like it.
I can't remember what my first one was. I think it was a Nikon. I think.
It was in the film days.
Yep, certainly was. I started
That's
off
cool.
with film, loved it. So how have you been
Yeah, me
anyway?
too.
Been busy?
Yeah, I've been really busy like usual. That's why I don't put too much content up on anything. I try to do Instagram as much as I can, but just doing the jewelry photography, which I don't post a lot of jewelry because even though I do that like 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, I still don't consider myself a jewelry photographer. I don't know if that makes sense to you. It's not a dream of mine, but I actually like doing it, and you're in a studio, so the temperature's always good. It's not too stressful because you don't got all these different clients asking for stuff. So that's what I've been doing every day, and so it gets kind of tiring, doing it for about 8 hours, I guess, every day. So by the time I come home, me and my wife, we go to the gym. So we started the gym as well, which then once we get home, we're like spent, and I don't want to do anything else like make videos or anything like that. So.
Well, I just saw your
How
video
about you?
this morning. I forgot to put a comment on. I will. Yeah, it was good. It was really interesting. We might talk about that later.
Yeah, if you want to talk about it later, we can go into it later. So how you been besides lockdown?
Well, I haven't done anything for 2 years, Aaron, basically, the way I'm going. It's
wow,
ridiculous.
Man.
This has been going for 2 years, and we're meant to be getting out in about
horrible.
3 weeks. So hopefully, I think the country's up to 80% vaccination nearly. So we should be, they're saying we're going to open up, but, well, it is what it is. So what do you do?
That is horrible.
Yep.
I couldn't even imagine. We were only like locked down for like a week. And then we started like a long time, like 2 years ago, and we just started working right away, and we went to New York and traveled all over. We went to Peru, which we'll talk about later. We've been all over the place, and poor David's been stuck in his house.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Now I got
So
new glasses, guys. So I'm finally wearing glasses. So if you see me going like this a lot, it's because they're like trifocal. So I got to get used to it. So forgive me if I'm looking kind of strange with my head trying to dial it all in here.
Yeah, I changed mine and put the reading glasses on because I have to do the same thing. You've sort of got to look like this too, which is... So these are just reading ones, so I don't have to do that. But let's see who's here. So Kev has said, shot that borrowed A7S III today. He borrowed one the other day. Wow. The AF is a leap above the A7 III. There is something magical about the quality out of the focus regions too. Feels like a more shallow depth of field, but it isn't. And this is why I keep saying, Aaron, and we're going to talk about this as the first story today about what would make you upgrade and things. But the A7S III is amazing.
Yeah.
12 megapixel. Who would have thought?
I know, right? That
know.
never stressed me out, which we could talk about later. But I want to know how good the autofocus is compared to the Sony A7C, which I use, because that that was probably in the same development time as the Sony A7S III, just because they came out so close together. Or do you think that the Sony A7 III has a better autofocus system?
Well, I haven't used the A7C, but the
it's good. It's like
it probably is just as good. But the A7S,
amazing.
I think, is sort of very, very close to the A9. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, probably a little better than.
Joe's here as well. Says the dynamic duo back in action.
Trying. The last time I was out of town in San Juan, and then the next time he had an earthquake and something happened, and the next time my electric went out, and so my electric's on, no earthquakes, and I'm in town. So
just keep our fingers crossed.
I know if something goes out, it's the electric here.
Oreo said, "G'day, Oreo." Said that's because of the cleaner files. That's what creates the impression of smoother bokeh and more blur. He's talking about the A7S.
Could be.
How's our audio, guys? Too, just let us know. Do we are we basically about the same volume? Because we've got no idea at this stage. Nivak saying hello here. As well.
Hey,
hello,
buddy.
Gentlemen. George is saying greetings from New Jersey, where I just got back from a 3-week trip through south of France. Where's the A7 IV?
Oh, nice.
Jeffrey's also saying good night, guys. Oh, good night. He's going to bed, I think.
Good night.
Joe said, no, that ain't it. I'm not sure what that meant, but New World Order is coming. Who knows? I mean, I don't know what's going on at the moment, but hopefully we're out of lockdown shortly. When do you think I will get the 35 f2 to 2.8 150? When will you get it? You've ordered it. Who knows? I mean, I'm still waiting to get a review unit. I did finish the review unit of the 18 to 300 yesterday, Aaron. So the review is almost up.
Oh, cool!
Terrific. Yeah. So that may be.
I'm excited to see that. That is so cool. Joe said his first camera was a Vivitar. I remember Vivitar, but I don't remember. Was that like a SLR type camera, Joe?
I'm not sure. I do remember the name.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if they were SLR style with the. Not sure.
How do we? Oh, there you go. I can make the comments a bit bigger. NZO said, "G'day from Phoenix, Arizona. A7C versus the older A7 II color science comparison." Well, Aaron, you would have found that the A7 would have much better color science, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because I've had the Sony A7S, and I've had lots of Sony cameras. People don't know that because I switched back to Panasonic a long time ago. But yeah, A7C clearly has the better color science. Now, someone asked me that. I still get tons of questions on older videos and stuff like that on my YouTube channel. But what I was telling someone is, like, I don't notice much. Like, Sony's known for like the greenish type skin tone type things. Now, in RAW, I still kind of see that. It still has that green-ish tone to skin sometimes, but it's more like the JPEG color science is the most noticeable wow factor when it comes from the Sony A7C and any previous camera from that. Now, I know David, I'm pointing at him over here, I know he loves the color science out of the Sony A7S III as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if they're exactly the same, but being that they came out at the same time, I would assume that they're close. And it's just like, I got to do a video based on that because someone asked me, like several people asked me to, because I did a video on Sony A7 III best out of camera JPEG. So I really ought to do that for the Sony A7C because people ask me, and it is a little different than the Sony A7 III. But the color science to me is like great. I mean, I don't even use RAW anymore. I just use the JPEG unless it's a high dynamic range. Then I actually go pull the RAW, where before I would just edit every RAW file, even when the dynamic range isn't even necessary to push and pull. But now it's opposite, just completely JPEG. I shoot both RAW and JPEG, but I only look and pull and fix and look at the JPEGs. And if it's something where like, oh yeah, the background's too bright or something, then I go get the RAW file. So color science on this is great.
Does the A7C have the HEIF format that you can choose?
No, it does not. Okay. No, it doesn't. No.
See, that's the interesting one.
Have you used it?
No, but I should try and start using it now because that has more advantages than JPEG. But everything's baked in the same, but it gives you more dynamic range to edit the file and things. So I really should try it. But the way I'm shooting now is I always shoot RAW to one camera and then JPEG on the other. But most of the time now, I'm just using the JPEG straight out of the camera because they're so good.
I know. Yeah, same with me. It's just, when I went to the Fuji system, I was really like, wow, these are great. And that's when I started not even using the RAW. But then it wasn't until the Sony A7C came out with the minor color profile tweaks that I did. It's just for my own little style type look to it. They just look so good. I mean, why sit here and try to fix the RAW when the JPEG already looks exactly how I want it to look anyways?
Yeah.
So, they're really good.
And like you said, that then the color is baked in. And as long as you don't sort of underexpose or overexpose too much, it's fine. And I've been tending to now, I used to underexpose all the time and then bring it back up in post, but I've changed my thinking now because the dynamic range now is just so good straight out of camera that I don't really have to do that anymore. The only thing I really protect is the highlights.
Yep, I made a video on that. I use zebras to see what's blowing out in my background. I use aperture priority, which before the Sony A7 III, before that came out, I would always just use manual all the time. But the Sony A7 III just has that ability to where you can, the dynamic range, and then it has the slow minimum shutter speed and all these features that I've been aperture priority like for years now. And I just use a compensation dial with zebras to see what's blowing out. Is that important? Maybe not, or whatever. And that's all I do. And I mean, the cameras are amazing. Even in JPEG, I noticed that as long as it's not really, like you really screwed the shot up, you can still bring a lot of information back even with the JPEG. So I mean, if you're a good photographer and you're getting it like you should, the exposure is pretty close, unless it's a high dynamic range where you'd probably benefit from flash. But on the majority of photos that I take, the JPEGs, I can even tweak just enough, a little bit if I have to, and that's it.
John, Ike's here. G'day, Ike. How are you?
Hey, Ike. How you doing, buddy?
John said, I have progressive lenses. Well, I think that's what Aron has too. But the problem is, if I put my other glasses on, and this is why Rob said Aron J. Anderson bobblehead. It's like in the car, But the thing is with them, you've got the focus close is down the bottom. So when I have those on, I have to sort of tilt my head a little bit, and that's the difference. Like this is, I think, for long vision, and then they slowly sort of grade down or have a gradation down here. But this is why I put reading ones on now, because I was getting a stiff neck because I'd always be sort of looking like this all the time. But yeah. Joe said, I told you to make a YouTube travel channel, Aron. By now you would have 100,000 followers.
I know. Well, I've tried the vlogging thing with travel. It might have been 4 years ago or so. I'd have to look. And man, it's so much work. I mean, like so much work to do the vlogging. I mean, the thing was when I was doing it, I was more caught up in, because I want to get good looking shots. I'm not just the type of just hold crappy shots with crappy lighting. I need it to look good, So, I spent more time, figuring out what's the best shot and what should I say and where should we go. This planning thing that the vacation or the trip just went by and I didn't even enjoy it because I was just worried about. No, so I was like, my wife Liz Deanne said, oh, we should do it. She every once in a while she says it, but I'm like, you know what? We're going to spend all of our time just getting in the bag and what shot and go over there. It's just forget. So it wasn't worth it for me. But yeah, It'd
It's
be
a lot
pretty
of
good, I'm
work.
sure.
That's the
Too much
problem.
work.
And
And I lose my trip.
the thing is, if you're doing photography, you can take in the moment. Like, this is the thing, you can actually take that moment in. But as soon as you start to go into video, you then
That's
lose
it.
the fact of what's around you and everything else, and it's so much work.
No, that's perfectly well said, because with the photo, you can just look at it and go, wow, look at this, like, and you're looking at your composition, and you can hold the camera up and kind of get it. But video, now you're like, shutter speed, and you're doing all this stuff and make, like I just told you, I use aperture priority, which is like a snap, so I can really enjoy it. But the video, and then with audio, oh man, forget it.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't do it.
Capano said maybe if the R5 drops to 3,000 next year, I might be an upgrade. Yeah, that would be a great camera at that price. Like I said, facts, Joe. Langston's here as well. G'day, Langston. How are you?
Hey,
Rob
Langston.
said, I have the A7R3 and might consider a new camera someday to have in addition to it, but I can't see replacing it. And often sometimes you're better off to not replace it because the value can drop so much. But we're going to talk about that in a minute, actually, in the first story. I'll just get through some of these people that have joined us. Jeffrey said the audio is good, so thanks for that. Langston said, and for me, a new camera needs to have external SSD support or hard pass. It's 2021. Get with the times. As Joe said, Photomiac, they're talking to each other. That's okay. All right, so I might just stop there because we can talk about the first story. Because I want to discuss with you, because look, there's all of these rumors now about the A7 IV coming out. Well, I wanted to have a discussion with Aron about what, and you can join this in the discussion as well, what would be the things that would want to make you upgrade from what you currently have? And this sort of ties directly into, Aron, what you were posting this morning on your video where you were talking about, that you should be more out shooting than the gear itself. So what for you, and then I'll talk about me, but what for you would be a reason where you would think that you would want to say, or what would force you to think I have to upgrade from my A7C?
Well, what would force me? Well, first of all, I did a video, on the Sony A7C. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Nice to see you in here.
Thanks, Long Rider.
Yeah, Long Rider gave a $5 donation. Thanks, Long Rider. For me, the Sony A7C is the most perfect camera that I've owned. Now, of course, everybody has their own things, but that's just me. It's like the perfect camera because I love rangefinders. I always have to have the flip screen. The autofocus is just amazing, like the Sony A7 III was for me. The dynamic range, all these things is packed into a nice small little camera, and I love small, lightweight cameras. And I'm a minimalist. It's got to fit in my Peak Design bag that I always talk about. So it's like the perfect camera for me. So when I seen or heard about the new Sony A7 IV, is that what we're talking about? Yeah. A7 IV, I just completely wasn't interested. So I told David, like, we should do a little segment on what features would a new camera have. And for me, it's really not that much. I did the video about how I get around dual card slots by using the apps. Actually, the Sony apps are getting pretty darn good, where I did a video on it. When I take a photo, RAW plus JPEG, a JPEG gets sent over here. Even when the phone's like this off in my bag, it's just doing that. The problem is if you forget to do the little connection thing in the beginning, which is pretty quick and easy, then you don't have that redundancy. So for me,
are you finding, Aron, just to jump in there though, would you find, but is that now you're confident enough to say use that in a wedding where you're doing your phone like that?
Oh, yeah.
Or you wouldn't be?
No, I would. I did we did a recent magazine shoot and then a runway shoot, and I did it like this, and I mean it never missed. It just, while I'm doing it, like when the girls are coming out in the runway, they go back in and they do a clothing switch or whatever you call it. And so I would just, this would just be down by my bag, and then I would pick it up and I would just go, okay, it's still going. I remember the last shot I did. If I don't remember, I'll just like shoot the ground and go, okay, it's working. And I would just put it back. So I was confident that it was going. And I did that on several projects, and it really never missed. But during a wedding, I would still just check just to make sure, put it in your back pocket, there's those down times. Of course, that first kiss type of thing, you don't want to be fiddling, but you know how it works. So you're like, okay, this is a boring part. Let me just like, oh, yep, it's still.
Are they full-size JPEGs?
Yeah, full-size JPEGs, straight over to the phone. So that's how I got around the dual card slots. But still, I would love dual card slots because then you don't have to, you're still a little worried about it. But it's there, it worked, and it was great. But dual card slots is the number one thing for me. If a Sony A7C Mark II came out, if it didn't have dual card slots, I might not, upgrade. And we're talking about if the camera if my camera works, I wouldn't, do anything. But if it's breaking or it's getting old, I would upgrade no matter what to a A7 Mark II. But if my A7C works now, but the new one Mark II came out with dual card slots, then I would probably upgrade based off of that feature. The other feature would be 4K 60p. Now, I don't use 4K all that often, but when I had the Panasonic G9, because it had it, I filmed everything in 4K 60p because, of course, we've all heard it before. You can, down sample it or squish it down into 1080, and now you've got 1080, so it's not large anymore when you're outputting it and all that, but it just gives you that freedom and it looks a lot sharper. So dual card slots, 4K 60p. Now, if it didn't have dual card slots, the A7 Mark II, A7C Mark II, but it had 4K 60p, that's not enough for me to upgrade. It would have to have dual card slots, and then that would be a plus, the 4K 60p. And really, to be honest with you, that's about it. There's nothing else, at least as far as the technology that we know that's here. They might come out with something that's just mind-boggling cool. But as far as all the technology that I see now and that's coming out in rumors, that's really it, just those two features. So,
well, let me throw something at you, Aaron. What if they brought out, now I know, and this is what I wanted to talk to you about, what you said this morning too, because I thought, well, I'm going to throw this at you. What if they brought out an A7 Mark II, and it had
A7C Mark II?
Yep, it had a nice EVF. It also had the much better screen on the back. So they put it up to 1.4 million dots or whatever it is. So say double the resolution that you've got there. If it had dual card slots and 4K 60, would you immediately go and buy it?
If it had the dual card slots, yes. If it didn't have dual card slots, no. For me, the EVF is absolutely fine. I only really use the EVF for compositional purposes. So, I mean, I don't have to. It's not like I'm sitting there like viewing my photos, or I don't need the most comfortable experience like looking in it long term, I guess you would call it. Here's the Sony A6000. I don't even know that one's a little better because it's a little more meat on the end of it. But I mean, even with this, I'm okay with it because I'm not like using it. I don't care if it's not that high quality because I'm just using it for compositional purposes. And if I want to see if something's in focus, which I actually don't do all that often anymore because the Sony A7C just hits like every shot. At the first in the beginning when I first got it, like, oh, let's check focus, but it's like always in focus. So it's just like I don't even feel like I have to check focus anymore. But even if I do, putting it up and just hitting a back button and having it zoomed in just to make sure, the EVF is high resolution enough for me. And as far as the back of the screen, same thing. When I'm holding it like this, I just don't necessarily need a high res screen for just compositional things. It's like I just don't feel like I need that experience to have something that looks so amazing or wild. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm not watching a movie on the back of it or showing. I just think they're good enough. Basically, and they are crappy compared to the other.
What if the A7 IV comes out and it has obviously the dual card slots? It's got the fold-out rear screen, which is something that you've always wanted, like me.
Well, that would have to be on the A7C as well.
Yeah, and 4K 60. Would you be tempted to sell your A7C and get the A7 IV?
Nope, I wouldn't even be tempted because I absolutely love the size and the rangefinder type cameras. And for me, all these years, why I kept going back and forth with all these cameras, as if you ever followed my YouTube channel, was because I wanted a Panasonic style rangefinder camera with the flip out screen. That's what I wanted. But then once I got the taste of the Nikon D750 full frame and the Sony A7 III full frame, it was just nice to have a 50 mil on there, get that shallow depth of field, not have to be that far from your subject. So I really just loved full frame. However, none of the Sony cameras had that flippy screen. So Sony A7C came out, Sony A7S III came out as well with the flippy screen, but it's not a rangefinder. So I wouldn't even go to the A7 IV at all for anything. I don't care what it has. It's like, it's going to have to be an A7C Mark II that has dual card slots. It has to have a flippy screen, and then 4K 60p would be an added bonus for me.
It's going to be interesting to see when they upgrade that, where that sort of fits in the timeline of what's going on, because it sort of was an upgrade to the A7 III, wasn't it? So that was like the upgrade to the A7 III. And then whether now you'll have to wait for the A7 IV to be out for a while, and then they'll upgrade to like the A7 C2. That probably will be how that works. But now, what about, let's switch to lenses, because you were recently shooting all the time with the kit lens, correct?
Yes.
So what's made you decide to go from the kit lens to the 24mm GM? Do you want to sort of discuss what you were thinking about there?
Yeah, real quick. Well, we're going to go into my Peru trip and what I take, but let's just tackle that one. I never ran around with just a 24mm on my camera. I never did it. It's always been a 50 or a 75 or 85, somewhere around there. In the Panasonic days, it was like 150 or something, just because I wanted to get as much juice as far as compression and background blur. So I was always this longer type shooter, but in the realm of the full frame, it's a 50 or 85-ish, you know? And so I said, let me switch it up and let me go completely opposite direction at the widest I would want to shoot at. And I never needed anything more than a 24mm in all my photography history. So 24 sounded good. So I wanted to get a lens that is going to be good in low light. So it has to be at least an f1.8. I wanted it to be sharp because I just know if I'm shooting at 24, there's going to be times where it's just a little too wide. So I could put it in crop mode or crop later in post, and because it would be a sharp lens, then it still holds a lot of the resolution of the image. So I went with that GM lens. However, I am going to return it because...
Oh, you are?
I am, because I just don't feel the 24mm. I was out with it all week, and I've had it for like almost a month. And it's just, I was like cropping everything and putting it in crop mode all the time, is just because my artistic mind and eye just see things in 50mm or a little more, but 50mm. This
is why you like the 55, isn't it?
That's why I love the 55, and that's why I'm going back to the Sony Zeiss 55 and getting rid of that GM. Now, the GM lens is an amazing lens. I mean, it's probably one of the absolute best quality lenses I've ever owned, and the image quality. It's just the focal length is the only thing that's not for me, and I really tried to try it out, but I was just cropping everything, and says then this just isn't for me. I wasn't feeling it, so that's why I got rid of it. But it was an amazing lens. If you love 24, get the lens. It's amazing.
Well, it's a personal choice, and I did think that when I think it was a shot you put on Instagram or something of Lisdy, and you were saying you were struggling with using the 24, getting the frame that you liked. Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. So, see, I'm the opposite. I adore the 24, but yeah, you know, it's completely different, and it's sort of what you like to shoot. But I haven't used my 55 in ages, and that's interesting. I've now jumped to the 135. Oh, yeah. So, see, that's
oh wow.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you have to be a fair way back from your subject, so it's certainly not a travel, type lens. All right, so I'll sort of talk about my sort of feelings with upgrading. Yeah. I mean, I honestly think that I've found the perfect camera if you're talking about, this.
Yeah,
I mean,
you do, huh?
Yeah, if I probably, I mean, look, I'm still waiting to see what they offer on the A7 III, A7 IV, I mean. But I still think if I had the money at the moment, I probably would get another one of these. And that's because I've done a whole video on it, and I think for me personally, I just adore the 12 megapixel file size. It's just terrific when you're doing events and things like that. Remember, that's mostly where my money comes from, is events. And I think at that sort of stage, the 12 megapixels is just ample. If I did need to go larger than that, I can always up-res it using, programs like Gigapixel or whatever. But I have to be honest, I'm just not selling prints anymore. I'm selling albums, but 12 megapixels is ample enough for when you're doing wedding albums, and it's not an issue. You can go up to 20 by 30 on a 12 megapixel file size, and that is mostly what I sell up to if I'm going to sell prints. I very rarely go over that now. So, and if I did, like I said, I could up-res it. And I've just found the
Yep.
look of it, the focus, the fold-out screen. If the A7 IV has a articulating screen, the latest rumors are that it's going to have that, and also the latest rumors are saying it's going to be a 4K 60 camera. Well, then when I am in the market, I may then consider getting that instead of another A7S III. I mean, it would have to have those. So for me, the must on a camera body at the moment is dual card slots. Although I just bought the ZVE 10, but I've got that just for like in the studio, and I wanted it so that I can, just go like this, and it's going to immediately focus. I mean, it's seriously is nuts. So really, for me, for a camera that I'm going to be shooting outside and doing things with or in studio, has to have dual card slots, has to have an articulating screen. I know there's people that hate it, like Gilbert is dead set against it. What was that?
Yeah, that's my phone.
Oh, and then I would like 4K 60 has to be a must. I don't need 4K 120, but 4K 60 is a must for me as well. So they're the things that would force me to upgrade. But apart from that, lens-wise, I think I'm probably okay at this stage. But I'm tempted by the Tamron, that the 35 to 150. I am tempted to use that, and I can't wait to try that out when it's sent to me. But that might be the only one that I would possibly upgrade to. Or the new 28 to 75 from Tamron is meant to be unbelievable, the version 2 of that. So, apart from that, I'm sort of very, very happy with what I've got at the moment, and there's not much that I would think that would sort of force me to want to upgrade at the moment, because I think I've just got it. I think this, for me, honestly, is almost a perfect camera. I used to totally say that the A9 was,
cool.
But this, for me, really has every single thing that I need on it. And I don't know, there's just something about it. I think I could use this till the day that I die, basically.
That is so cool that we both come to that same conclusion, that we found the camera that we really, really like. I mean, there's nothing else out there. Now, you said, I was going to ask you something. Oh, you said if you're in the market and the A7 IV has all those features you want, why would you go with that over another A7S III? Just because you would want something that has 24 megapixels, or is there another reason?
Well, it's going to have 33, so that doesn't really
yeah.
excite me that much either. But it's more the fact of, I suppose it would help the YouTube channel as well, because I'd have another camera that I could do reviews on and things like that.
Okay.
That's probably the only reason that I would get it. But I definitely need another video or say a real hybrid camera, and that's why I'm saying it has to have 4K 60. I don't want a camera that's line skipping or pixel binning. I want a true 4K 60 camera. So if that doesn't happen, once weddings start to happen again, and I am starting now to get some bookings for next year. So once they start to come up and running again, I will be in a market for another fusion type camera. And at this stage, I would buy another A7S III. But I mean, I'm sure there'll be an A version of this which will come out with a better back screen on this, and that's probably the one that I would get when it came out. So, I'm sort of hanging out for that too. I'm sure there'll be an A version. Apart from that, really, Aaron, just for my YouTube, that's really the only thing that would make me get an A7 IV over an A7S III with the rumors as they are at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So, lens-wise,
that's good,
I'm perfect.
Man. Yeah, lenses for me, I'm good too. I'll go into what lenses I use for Peru, which is kind of the same ones I'm going with. So that's good. So, glad you found the camera.
Now, we were going to talk about the iPhone, but we'll leave that for another day, I think, because we're already 37 minutes in, and I want to go and leave a little bit of time for Q&A. So I think we might just go straight to your trip to where did you go again? It was
Peru.
Peru, because I wanted to talk to you about how you can travel minimalistically. And you know what? Kerry has told me off, because the last 2 trips I've done around the world, I've taken way too much gear. And it's been a nightmare, really, because I've had all this gear I've had to lug around. And, and I think the next trip that I make, I'm going to be more like what you did and take a minimalistic type setup.
So
I'll let you discuss it. So tell us and take us through your trip. And if you have some images you can show.
First of all, before we go into the images, so you know what I used, you guys all know by now I love Peak Design bags. This is the 10 liter. I have a 10 liter and a 5 liter. They're the older versions. No, this is the old version, 10
Okay.
liter. I actually like the old versions better. Now, Peak Design's an amazing company. Like, I had this for several years now, and the zipper started wearing out on the side, and I use it all the time. And so they have a lifetime warranty. So this actually just came in the mail. It's a replacement. Um, and yeah, it's brand new. Haven't used it yet. And so they replaced it. I just have to send back my old one,
That's
and
great
they
service.
refurbish them. Oh, it's great. So I got a brand new one. And this is what I took on my Peru trip, and this is what I take on all my trips. It's not that big. It's a little sling. And for the Peru trip, is like all my trips, basically, is now I take the Sony A7C. That's the camera body. Now, if you're going to go, on a important trip like going to Peru, where, that's a pretty nice trip to go to, you should have some type of redundancy and a backup of your gear. And this is it. This is my Sony A6000. This thing is like, if you guys never held one of these, it's like
tiny.
It's way lighter than even the newer APS-C cameras. This is so light, like I wouldn't say it was almost half than the A6600 type camera. But look how small that is. You don't put a lens on it. This is my backup camera. I mean, you don't even feel it, and this fits right in the bag. Again, right inside here in the side, and you just don't even know it's there. It's that light. The batteries don't last long on it, but again, it's a backup battery, and all I need really is two. Because I probably won't use it at all. And if I did, two will get me through a day of just photographing stuff until I get back that night and I have a little dual charge and charging, but I never had to use it. So that's my redundancy, that little Sony A6000. And then I'm filming this right now with the Sony A7C, so you guys can't see that. But the lenses that I've always taken, was this Tamron 28-75 f2.8, but I've replaced the Tamron. I did a video with the kit lens. This thing is amazing. It's the, what is this, 28-60 kit lens that comes with the Sony A7C. Look at the size of that.
That's the variable aperture one, isn't it? I think I've got that.
Yeah. This one is, it's an f4 to f5.6. It's a little, it was a little off-putting to a lot of people because it's a little janky. When it's just like this, you can't really use it. When you turn it on, the camera says, extend it. So you have to extend it. And now I'm in 28, and now I'm in 60. So
that's full frame, Aaron, isn't it? That's full frame.
Full frame.
Yeah,
this
I
is
haven't
full
got that
frame.
One. Yep.
Yeah, it comes with the Sony A7C full frame, and it's a little janky. And I never, even if I don't do much video anymore, but even if I did, I never zoom as I'm filming. So although it's a little sticky, I never zoom while filming if I was going to use it for video. The aperture goes to f4 to f5.6. So even when you're at 28, it's an f4, which isn't too bad. And look how small that is. It's actually a tad sharper than the Tamron 28-75. The corners are even a little sharper. I did a video on it comparing these two. And because of that, I said, I'm going to run with this instead of the Tamron, because this is a great run around street photography lens when you're not really trying to get blurry backgrounds and you're doing more landscapes, architectural, street type photography. This is the main lens that I used on my Peru trip.
Did you sell the Tamron?
Yes, I did.
You did. Yep.
I completely don't need it. And I love primes more than anything. So, having, two primes that I'll go over and then the bigger Tamron, and then I had this, it's like, I rather use this when I need something quick and zoomy and nice lighting, and then go to my prime lenses when I want to do more serious portraiture type stuff or more artistic things. So that was my lens for Peru mainly. Now the other lenses I take with me is two fast primes, and that is a 50mm Sony 50mm f1.8 or the Zeiss f1.8. Those two lenses I always went back and forth on. And then I don't have it with me. It's in another bag. I won't even show you guys, but it's the Samyang 24mm f2.8. Now that is actually smaller than this, maybe half the size of this. It's super light. It's super small. I only use that for specific shots when I'm shooting low, up high at a model, or my wife if she's modeling for me, or if I just can't get enough in with 28. Doesn't happen often, and that's my three lenses. That's all I use is the kit lens, the Sony Zeiss 55mm, and that Tamron 24mm f2.8. That's it. And then I do take a flash with me. Now, I do carry a small TT350 from Yongnuo, which is small and light, but sometimes I don't want to be caught with not having a powerful flash, and I hardly ever use these, but this is the not Young. Did I say Yongnuo? I meant Godox. I used to use Yongnuo. The Godox V862, along with this is the new XT2 transmitter. And I always take these with me on travels because you never know when you might need a flash. Mainly, if I want to photograph my wife against inside with a bright background or whatever it is. But again, I hardly use it. But that's all the gear. So you want to talk about minimalistic? It all fits right in here. You know, you've got the Sony A6000. You've got those 3 little primes that are they're all about this size. And then you've got this, or the TT350, which is back there. It's a little smaller. And that's all the gear I have. I just couldn't imagine needing anything more. Now, a lot of people love zoom lenses, and they ask me, well, what about zoom? What if you need more reach than, well, this would be my longest lens, 60 millimeter. 24 millimeters with a 60 millimeter, even if you're shooting like landscape or something at f5.6, I mean, it's so sharp. You could crop that down to, like David said, 12 millimeters. And as long as your exposure is right and your ISO is low, which you're probably shooting at anywhere from 100 to 400 out there when you're using this, that you could crop it down to 12 megapixels. So that's kind of like you're zooming in essence, of course, digitally. You could still blow that up to, what'd you say, David? 12 by...
Yeah, 20 by 30.
20 by 30. It's still going to look great. So, and I don't do a lot of zoomy stuff. If my 50 can't get it or my 60 millimeter on this can't get it, then I just crop later if that's it. So that's about it. Now, let me just show you the photos real quick. Let's try to share this screen, David.
Now, yep.
And we'll go
back to here.
I'm going to try to go through these quick.
Because we've got to remember how to do this.
Yeah. Okay, I think I do everything from my end. Let me go into a share screen window. Okay, I think this is it. So I'm sharing. I should be.
Yep, there we go. Let me go. Hang on. Let me go into here, and I'll show it on the guest one. So I just go there.
Let's see.
Oh, now, hang on. Why is it only coming up at that size? Oh, I suppose it's not bad because I can see you in there. But let me just see if I can get this full screen.
Yeah, try.
Oh, there we go. I think I've got to do it there. No,
Are you seeing my full screen, or do I have to go big with it?
Oh, there you go. That was it. Hang on. Let me go back. Let me go back.
So was that on my end or your end?
Yes, that's full. You're right now.
Okay, now what if I just shrink it? Is it not full?
No, it shows the desktop.
Okay, so let's go like this. Okay, so every photo you're going to see here, it was taken with the kit lens or the Sony 50 mil. And I'll tell you when it's the Sony 50 mil because it wasn't that often. It was mainly the kit lens with the Sony A7C. I mean, talk about a nice light package. So I'm just going to go through these real quick. This was in a market in Peru. This was out of our bedroom here. Like I said, I'm going to go pretty quick with these so you get an idea of how amazing this little setup was. This was, 60 mil, just off in the distance there. This was probably 60 mil standing back. This is in Cusco, Peru. It's a small town that's really cool there. We were eating and there's the view. I'm not going to explain these. We'll just go through them. Go through all these different shots. Yeah, you're going to see that like just a small little camera and one small little kit lens can just do so. I mean, you can see the background blur when you do get close. Of course, there is separation, of course,
So what was that shot? Do you remember what that was shot at, the aperture?
That was probably 60 mil, I would assume.
And what about aperture would you be using?
It would have been f5.6.
Yep.
So I usually just shoot it wide open and let it, do its thing from 4 to f5.6 unless it's a weirdly bright situation. And here's another shot here. And this is all with the kit lens. So you could see, I mean, people ask me, like, is that going to be enough? Well, it can. Now, that's like probably at 28 millimeters. I just got down with the flippy screen. And this is all in the town of Cusco, Peru. And we'll go through these a little quicker. There's a violinist right there. They were doing actually a photo shoot of that violinist down there. Yeah. And I was pretty far, and I zoomed in at 60, and I wanted the building in the background. Got me that. The low light situation inside here. All these look great. This is from our train. More of the train shot of a mountain there when we went by. Here's some more. And that's it for that. Now I'm going to exit out of here and go to another folder. Let's see if this stays the same.
See, it
Okay,
just
can you
shows.
see?
You know, the thing too is it's just liberating when you sort of see that, because you can enjoy the moment. You're not lugging all the stuff
Oh,
around that's going to hurt your
no.
back and do everything else. I can't see your screen yet.
Oh, yeah, maybe I have to share it again. Let's
Yep.
try share screen. Now this is going to be window, this one, share. You should see it now.
Yep. Let me share that one. Yep.
So this is another part of Peru that we went to. These are really cool formations that they did for like agriculture. I can't say that word. So let's just go through these. This is all the kit lens here. Now this 28 millimeters wasn't quite wide enough for this if you wanted the whole thing in. And if I would have stepped back, there's a hill right below. So this would be a situation where I would have should have probably got my Samyang 24 millimeter out of the bag, but you know what? It didn't bother me. That's just how I am, I guess. And now I just zoomed in at 60 millimeter and just kind of got a side of this because it's kind of a cool artistic shot of it. Same with this side here. Now I focused on this little thing here, just trying to get a little creative and blur in the background. Maybe it's not a good shot, but I took both. I focused on the salt in the back. Those are salt, little salt areas that families would own each one of these little sections and sell the salt. And so I just focused on this plant on that shot, but I did take two, one focus different. This is just going around that area. Now this is going up to I think it's called the Seven Colors in Peru. It's 14,682 feet.
Whoa,
You can barely breathe. Yeah, I mean, this is where you really would love a Sony A7C and kit lens, because I would take 10, and I'm pretty healthy. We would take 10 steps and literally we would be so out of breath that I had to take a break. And this was really good for a small kit lens. These are some kids in Peru with their llamas, just doing their thing. You can ride horses up if you wanted to. Me and my wife decided to walk because we're pretty healthy. We could do it, although it was very difficult for us. And this lady here would bring the horse down, and then someone can get on it and they could take you up on a horse. And you could see these shots. This was the kit lens. I mean, picture me with this small little, you just don't need all that gear unless you just like to lug it around. And this is the Seven Colors Mountain.
It's lovely.
This is all natural. Oh, it was absolutely beautiful up there. Look at that. If you look at the bottom, you can see the people. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but there's cars way down here. And we walked all this way and then, of course, all around to where I'm taking the photo. Beautiful location. 28 millimeters was enough for what I've seen here. But I had my 24, remember, in my bag, the Samyang, just in case. But I never got it out. Here's some sheep. Some people said, how'd you get that close with 60 mil? Well, I walked as close as I could with it zoomed to 60, taking shots as I walked, so that if they were to run, at least I have some shot that I can crop in on later. And they let me get about that close. This I didn't crop. That's a 60 mil. Same with this little sheep there on the side. Now we're in Machu Picchu, where this is this kit lens as well. Just taking shots as I go, walking through Machu Picchu. Now, the cool thing was, because I won't even say it because your video gets blocked and all that stuff, I guess, if you say the virus word. But we were like the only ones there most of the time. So
no, that's
I
so
was
lucky.
Oh, it was so lucky to be there at this time. Now, they carved this rock that you see years ago. I forget the year that they built all this, but they actually formed it like the mountains in the background. So I thought I would focus on the rock formation that they carved to look at like the mountains in the background, sort of there. And that's more of the main mountain there. This was just probably 28 millimeters, I would assume. And you can see.
Now, are these all JPEG, Aaron?
Oh, yeah, all these are JPEG.
It shows the dynamic range, doesn't it, that you can get just straight. It's amazing.
Yeah, and this one back here I thought I would have an issue with, but that was JPEG. And I exposed for this bright spot of the light here, and it was enough. You can see it's still kind of underexposed here. If it was a RAW file, I could probably bring this up, but I didn't want that. I wanted what you see.
Well, I think it'd look fake.
Yeah, I didn't want it to look fake. I brought it up a little bit, I'll be honest. It was a little darker in the JPEG, but the JPEG was enough to get me enough to see it right there. So I'm going to go quicker. Here's 60 mil. This is the whole side of Machu Picchu here. This was not fake. Someone said, "Oh, I hate when people add fake beams in." That was real. So I didn't add fake beams in here. You can see the sun there. That last shot was a little earlier in the day there. I'm going to go through these so you guys get an idea here. I don't want to bore people. Let me go to one more folder here, David.
See, usually people, it's funny because normally people retouch people out of those photos because it's so busy. But you haven't had to do that, so we're just waiting on Aaron to come back. I'm not sure if his camera's died. Did you disappear, Aaron? I think he's gone. But why Aaron's not there, I'll just discuss it. And this shows you how much you can do. This is what I've got to learn. You know, I mean, I think when I went and traveled around Europe, I went to Paris and also England. I sort of traveled to those two countries, and then we went to the States after that. But I took I think it was 2 roller cases with me, which, you know, they're the think tank roller cases. They're huge. I lugged them around, and Kerry hated it the whole time because, you know, it was awful. I think Aaron's joining again. It was just terrible. And I thought then I'm never going to do it, have that happen again. Let me just come bring you back in, Aaron.
You can hear me?
Yep, let me just bring you back on.
Now, could you hear me the whole time?
No, you had disappeared.
Okay, yeah.
One guest.
I X'd out of the browser.
Let me just see if I can add you again. Oh, guest 1. And let me bring you back in and go Aaron. There you go.
Okay,
yep,
let's just do. I'll do this real quick. I'm going to show you just like if you have a family member with you and you want to do portrait type stuff, and then we'll be done with it, so I don't bore you guys. Let me
share your screen.
Let me
again.
share, yeah, and share. Can you see it? We'll go quick.
Let me click on there and add it in solo. Yep.
Okay, so this was the kit lens, 60 mil. Get close,
it's
you
beautiful.
get that. Yep, this is my wife here just posing for me. You can see like so many people are so into background blur. You know, when I'm in a place like this, I don't really want to blur the background, so the kit lens worked perfect for me. And this is all kit lens stuff here. See, now I just wouldn't want to blur it. That's just my preference, I guess.
Well, if you blur it, you wouldn't know where you are.
Yeah, I didn't want to, you know, I mean, that's a nice little hill back there with those little grooves, so didn't want to blur that. This was just a local Peruvian lady here peeling potatoes. That's what she does every day of her life. So this wasn't like a costume. They actually do dress like that and work like that. This was more on that 7 Colors mountain. Here's my wife. We got to the top of 7 Colors, and there was these 2 llamas here to take photos of. Yeah, kind of cute, right? And then here we are in Machu Picchu with the kit lens, just taking a photo. Again, I wouldn't want to blur the background, so even if I had a fast lens, I would probably stop down so you could see it. Here's some more. I wouldn't want to blur that out. Now, this was with the 50 mil. You could see the blur in the background. This was back to the kit lens. We're just jumping around here. This was Machu Picchu here. Machu Picchu. This was one of my favorite shots.
Yeah,
we were here all by ourselves. I didn't have to Photoshop anybody out of this. And there's usually thousands of people there. The light was perfect here. And we woke up early to be here at this time. And she stood right there in the light. The sun behind her just lit up her dress here. And that was 28 millimeters at f8 probably to get all that in. Thank you. This was 28 millimeter. I thought this wouldn't be wide enough, but it was wide enough to get this. This is in the town of Cusco. Back to Machu Picchu here. They're not in order. Kit lens. Now here's where I changed it to 50 mil just so you guys have an idea. So I started blurring things out at f1.8. This whole photo shoot was at the 50 millimeter f1.8.
Is that the 55?
No, this is the 50, the cheap 50.
Yep.
Yeah, cheap 50. This dog ran up to us when we were doing a photo, and so perfect opportunity to focus on him and take a shot. Yeah, cute little dog there. 50 mil. These are all 50 mil in this yellow dress. So you can see the background's a little blurrier on the 50 mil at f1.8. And I got closer, so the background got a little more blurrier. And I got even closer on this. Background's even blurrier at f1.8. And then this goes back to the kit lens. Kit lens. These are all kit lenses here. This was the kit lens. And that's it. I won't bore you guys no more. So you guys can kind of see that you could do a lot with just very minimal gear, even on a trip to Peru.
Wow, that's fantastic. Beautiful shots. Let us know what you think all about those. But, you know, it's like I said, it's when you disappeared, I was saying when we went to Europe, Kerry hated the fact that I took so much gear and we had to lug all this stuff around. And I promised I'd never do it again, you know. So let's go quickly now through some Q&A. Ike has said here that I think the Z9, the Z9 or Z9 is going to be the last camera I'm ever going to have to upgrade to, because it's Nikon's version of the Sony A1, and that's all the camera I'll ever need. He just said any other purchase outside of that wouldn't be an upgrade, but more of a case use like a Fuji GFX for studio work or whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad you found the cam.
Long Rider also said the Z9 also looks good too. The thing is too, I saw the quick review of it, and it's got some sort of weird flip out screen that even when you're shooting landscape, you can change it all around. It looks, or portrait, you can change it all around.
Is it like the Fuji half flippy thing?
Well, I'm not sure. I just saw it that was a unique thing there. Paul said hi, Aaron.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? I'm trying to find myself in chat.
David Oster, I have an A7S III and an A7C. I'm good for the next 5 years. Long Rider said, if the A7 IV has a stack sensor with a fast readout and electronic shutter, I'm in. And that will be interesting too to see what that has.
That reminds me, David. The other thing, I should have wrote those down. An A7C Mark II, for me to upgrade, would have to have a flippy screen. It would have to have dual card slots, and it would have to, probably have to have a fully electronic shutter. I'm just dying to get a camera that has no issues, no rolling shutter, no you can use flash with it with no corks or anything like that. That was the other thing I was supposed to add to my must-have list. Fully electronic shutter. So
I do. I mean, I do love that aspect of the A9. It's just incredible. The A7 IV may give us that. Langston
maybe.
said, if I have to stop a whole show to swap SD cards, this is why my primary content cameras are Blackmagic. Sony is nice for edge cases, but I have found it's more a show pony compared to the Blackmagic pocket camera. That's because he likes to use the SSDs connected to it. Langston said, I need 3 phones at this point. One for the Blackmagics, one for the Sony, and one for the lights.
Oh, gee. Oh, my gosh.
I kept my Micro Four Third lenses, so if GH6 has better dynamic range and better AF, I'm in.
Yeah, I wish Panasonic would get the focus like the Sony cameras, because that was the only little downfall to Panasonic. And I was doing mainly video with Panasonic, so yeah, I hope they get rid of that. What is it, phase detect? Is that all they have over there, or the opposite one?
It's contrast detect.
Contrast detect, yeah, they need phase detect.
Yep. Langston said they want us to buy fancy overpriced cards. Well, at least ProGrade now are bringing out the new cards, so it will be a little bit cheaper. Langston said thumbs up. Yeah, really would appreciate that, guys, if you could do it. Boo to the 2 that gave us thumbs down. My buddy records my videos on his A7S III via his Atmos to SSD. That's often the way that I work too. Don't
have to worry about memory cards.
I think it's Facilis, is it? I'm not sure. The EVF is one of the big reasons I went for the A7S III. I know, it's just so good. First was iDetect AF. Second was 10-bit 100p UHD. Just trying to see what other people are saying here. So they offer the solution to your problem. You just don't want your problem to be solved that way. I'm not sure. They were talking to each other, I think. What's saying? Sony offering the beautiful S Cinetone. That's true. That is a really good picture profile. Is that on the A7C, Aaron, or it's not?
I don't think it is. I'd have to check, but I think I looked it up when I first was getting into it. I don't think it has it, but don't take my word for it.
Yeah, I use the S Cinetone all the time now with the A7C, so I don't have to grade it much at all. It's mostly what I have them all set on. And in fact, you can even match the A7 III and the A7C. If it hasn't got it, you can match the profiles to that.
That's cool. If anybody knows about this S Cinetone on the Sony A7C, let me know. I'd be curious.
Langston said S Cinetone is pretty dang awesome. Yeah, it's lovely. I love the look of it. Sony improving their color science like Venice was a huge move. They got it spot on. Rob said, Aaron, have you tried the 35mm? If you like wide, but not as wide as the 24, then the 35 might be a nice length.
Yeah, a lot of people were asking me that when I was posting that I'm going to try out. I did a video like I'm going to try 24 mil. I was hoping it would be like the only camera lens that I need, because anytime I use a 50, I almost always have to switch out to a 24 at some point in the day. So having a 24 would be great using the crop mode, which would give you that 35 millimeter field of view. And so I did try crop mode on that just to see, if I would like 35 millimeter as well, instead of buying the lens to try it out. And same thing, it's just I just see things in that 50 mil focal length. So yeah, I tried 35 on the 24, and I didn't like the 35. I tried it a long time ago as well on Samyang lenses. I just thought not 35 guy.
I know it's all a personal choice. That's the thing. I would love an A7S III for astrophotography, and then Rob said he'd love an A9 for aviation. Jamie says, I use my A7S III for sports photography. 12 megapixels is more than enough for me. Yep. As long as you don't have to crop in, you're fine. Like I said, you have to be then more careful with your lens choice because you can't crop much in post. But if you can nail the depth of field and everything right, and you don't have to crop, it's brilliant.
Yep.
Paul said, man, I would love to trade my 28 to 75 millimeter in for the version 2. I don't need to. I don't need to. He's trying to convince himself that he doesn't need to.
Yeah, don't convince yourself. You don't need it.
Well, I've heard that is an amazing lens. So
I'm sure it's going to be amazing, but who's going to know?
No, well, that's true. I mean, look, the average person would never pick it anyway. Unless
now, if it gave you... Yeah, if it gave you like 24 mil instead of 28, then it'd probably be worth it. But, pixel peep till your heart's content. You'll be, oh, yeah, okay, on the chart it looks a little sharper, but you don't need it.
Shush. 0. Funny thing is, you put it on private and don't answer, but she still works.
That's what I did.
Paul said, oh man, I have the A7S III and the 24 1.4, and it's a perfect combo. I love that combination. And well, that's what's on here now. The 24. I love it. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
That stays on my A7S III. It barely ever comes off. Let's see what's here. If the 1300 could do what the Sony did, it wouldn't be 1300. Oh, they're talking to each other again. Let me just see where it comes down. Jamison said the 35 to 150 seems like the perfect lens for wedding or run and gun event. I just can't validate spending $1,900. Yep, it's not cheap and it's not light, but wait and see what it's like when I review it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
What else? Let me scroll down. No, because I know they're all talking to each other, which is fine. Paul said... David and Aaron, I forget, do either of you use the Peak Design travel tripod? I need to get a new travel tripod this year, and I'm tempted. Carbon versus aluminium, hard choice. Well, I took it to America. They loaned me one that I took, and it was fine. I probably would just get something like the Me Too one or something like that, that's... Well, Aaron will show what he's got here, so have a look, because I know this is a nice tripod as well.
Well, I travel all the time, and my whole goal... Oh,
all right, hang on. I've got to bring
I see
back.
Blue dots.
There we go.
I was like, I didn't do it. I use this. Now, I don't use the Peak Design. It's just too expensive. I'm very... When I mean a minimalist, I mean also like... inexpensive gear that gets the job done, I guess I would say it. And this was here. I don't know if I did a review on this one or not. This is I don't even know. I have this thing on it now.
Well, I have the Me photo, which is similar, Aaron, to the one you showed.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Me photo. Oh, here it is. It's the VEO Go 204CB. I don't know if this is going to focus. Oh, look, it's going to focus. Is it focusing? No.
It did for a second.
Yeah.
I think it's grabbing the front of the tripod. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Look
Open it up. Yeah, there you go.
So that one right there, I've had this for so long.
That's carbon fiber, isn't it?
Carbon fiber. And, I was showing you guys my minimalist gear. I forgot to take it. I had it back there. I take this with me all the time. It's super light. The cool thing about this is when you have a Peak Design 10 liter, it fits under these straps perfectly. So it doesn't hang out at the side. So when you're walking through crowds, you kind of know your space, which this isn't wider than my back, and neither is the tripod, so I can walk through crowds and not have any issue with it. So look that up at B&H. If you want to pause that later on the photo there, and it's super lightweight, and I use it all the time, and I travel the world, and it's never broke or anything. So cool, and it's not that expensive.
I have a similar one, Paul. That's called the Me Photo.
Me Photo is another brand.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend carbon fiber though, because also it's not only lighter, but if you're working in cold conditions, the aluminium can be really horrible to touch, whereas the carbon fiber doesn't. Yeah. So I definitely get that. But I look, the Peak design when I took it away, it was great. I mean, I found it fantastic, but it's hard. It would be hard for me to justify the cost of what that is, and also it does tend to be a little bit thin when you fully extend it. The legs tend to be a little bit thin, and I was always a little bit worried about it moving a little bit or shaking.
This one's pretty good. I've never had it. It's kind of thin, but it's a really good try. And I've had many tripods, trust me.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's go down here. Langston said, well, the A7S is a specialty camera, so it will always be special because it's of its unique feature set.
Yep.
Joe said, I bought the Sony RX100 for my vacation travel this year. It's so much fun to use. I will share some photos to the photography and videography Facebook group. Yeah, that's great, Joe. Make sure you do. Yeah, that's a great little camera.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Roland said, Aaron, get the Samyang 24 1.8 to replace the 2.8. Still very light and a much better lens. Perfect fit for the A7C.
The thing for me is because, let's say out of a 12-hour photo walk on anywhere, New York, Peru, wherever, I probably get a 24 mil out maybe on 4 shots out of many shots. So for me, I would rather stick with the 2.8 because I don't use it that much, and it's still much smaller and lighter than even the f1.8. And for when I use 24 mil, I'm typically stopping down because it's the shots that I'm going for, like wide landscape shots, or even if I do my model shots from the ground, I want most of them in focus. So I don't even need 1.8, but I did hear that it's an amazing lens. So yeah, it even rivals the G Master actually.
All right, so Oreo, I'm going to skip a few comments now, guys, only because we want to try and keep the show at an hour, and we've already gone an hour and 10 minutes. Oreo said, I'm very easy to and content with an upgrade. He said all he wants really is 4K 60 and coloured focus point. That's all I want. I know that colour focus point is very handy. Does the A7C have that, or is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just see what else people are saying. I love Long Rider's comment. I feel like I'm being forced to watch my aunt and uncle's vacation slide. At least makes good hot chocolate. I love looking at Aaron's photos. What did Paul say? No, they were amazing. If I shot a lot of real estate, I would probably buy that lens. 17mm works for me now. Let me just scroll down and see if anything else comes up. Awesome shots. Looks so good without people there. I know Aaron was so lucky. I said that to him. He was so lucky to have that. David Osa, you mentioned about retouching people out of landscape images. The advantage of leaving the people in the image is that it gives scale to the image. Yeah, I know, but the problem is sometimes if you say go to some of these locations, it can take away from the image because there's just so many there. That's why people fight to get in so early and things like that before, you get 20 million people in the photo and they retouch them out. I understand what you're saying, though. I do always like leaving people in my landscape photos myself. Kerry always says, oh, why do you want to put me in? And that's the exact reason, because it adds scale. What else? The Panda's here. G'day, Panda. How are you, buddy? Hey,
Panda.
Hey, listen, everyone. A camera must have everything. Panda will like it. A good price for everyone. David Osler. Just wanted to say, just wanted to stop by for 2 to 3 minutes. Well, it's great to see you here, buddy. What else? Ike said Canons can match the AF accuracy and speed of the Sony, shoot 4K 60 and 120. Panasonic has very capable video mirrorless cameras as well, but it gets
I love
slept on. The only thing is with Panasonic, it's just the video focus is just not good.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Let me just scroll down and see. Panda saying hi to Aaron.
Hey, Panda. How do you read all these things? Oh my gosh.
let me keep scrolling down. I'm just trying to see if anything else says because it's about time. I need lunch.
I think Langston said, doesn't the A7C have color profiles? Yes, it does.
Yep. George said, wanted an A7 IV for the larger file size for weddings and travel. Was tired of the delays and hype. Got a very good deal on the A7 IIIA, which is good because it has that new screen, and love it. Can happily live without the A7 IV. Michael is here as well. Yes, profiles on the C, but no S Cinetone. So you haven't got them. You've got the other profiles.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Cool.
Glenn said, by the way, Aaron, loved your latest shots with the autumn leaves.
Oh, thanks. That was in Germany, I believe,
yeah,
right?
Okay.
Or New York. I don't know which ones. I forget.
42 Pros said, very excited to see the Tamron 35-150 on the A7S III video files. Langston said, I just posted a link to the video in the group so you can check that out. That's talking about some things that he was saying with everyone else, I think. Brett, g'day Brett, said, pity that the A7 III color focus points, I would have paid for that feature. I know it's terrible that they left that out.
That was the only thing about the Sony A7 III that I disliked about it, is that focus point.
Oreo said, Aaron, fantastic Peruvian series. I know they were beautiful.
Thanks, buddy.
Rocco said, I have Peak Design Travel Carbon, and it's a great tripod. And lastly, it's Elise and Aaron have said, hi, boys. Good to see you back. Yes, we are back.
I never know if it's Elisa or Aaron when I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah, I never know
because they have
either.
both their names there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who you...
And that's it. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining us again. Hopefully we can do this weekly. I mean, we may not because Aaron may be busy or he might have, other power issues or whatever. But we'll try and do it.
Mainly.
Yeah, we'll try and do it now once a week. Apart from that, guys, stay tuned for my video coming up with the Tamron 18300. Yeah, the 18300. That's going to be due. It'll be done today or tomorrow, and then obviously I'll be live again on Saturday as well. Apart from that, everyone, Aaron, have you got anything coming up?
No, I'm gonna do a video because so many people asked me about the color settings for the Sony A7C, and then I'll probably start talking about some photography, historical photography, printy type, artistic-y stuff. So if you're into that and not into the gear, come on over to my channel.
It is Aaron as well. They got back to us.
Oh, cool.
And Long Rider said, yeah, that's where you can get the profile for if you want to match the A7 III or even the A6 500. If you go to that, the channel extra shot, you can put those settings in and it almost matches the profiles perfectly.
I will check
All right,
it out.
thank you so much, everyone. And apart from that, we'll see you all in the next video. So bye,
Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Bye.